killings in San Bernardino, California reignites the national debate over gun control. We have two guests joining us tonight to help put that issue into focus. The executive director of New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, Leah Barrett, is here with us. And on Skype from El Paso, Texas, a supporter of the right to bear guns, Samuel Morgan. Mr. Morgan, let's start with you, sir. First of all, just for clarification purposes, do you own weapons?
Yes, I do.
Could you just tell me, not everything, but just to give me an example of what you have in your home?
I generally have handguns, carbines, and shotguns.
Okay, so you heard President Obama say that one of the things he wants Congress to do right away is to pass a law that prohibits people who are on the no-fly list from being able to purchase weapons. Now, as you know, just a few days ago, that measure was brought up in Congress and it was rejected. What do you think about that as a starting point that everybody should be able to agree on?
Well, as a starting point, anyone who has the right to be in America legally has the right, as an American citizen, has the right to own and bear arms. As far as someone who's on a terrorist watch list, I think it would be relevant to the discussion to consider maybe not allowing those individuals to purchase guns readily without further investigation into backgrounds.
Now you say consider that. You don't think it just should be a point-blank fact that if you can't fly, you can't own a weapon or purchase a weapon?
Well, it depends. You have to remember, a watch list is not an admission or a determination of guilt. It's a watch list. You and I, we could type something to our computer or make some phone calls and be placed on a watch list. But that doesn't give the government the right to basically allow us not to take our right away to bear arms. So I'd say no.
Let me get the reaction of Leah Barrett to that suggestion from President Obama. And you heard what our guest had to say. Ms. Barrett, go ahead, please.
Well, I mean, the fact is that 2,000 people on the terrorist watch list have successfully bought firearms. And we should, owning guns is not necessarily a right that everyone should have. Every right is limited, including this right. So, for example, military purposed assault weapons, high-capacity ammunition magazines, individuals who are suspected of being terrorists by our own government. It really beggars belief that the U.S. Congress, whose first duty is to protect the safety of the American people, refuses to close this glaring gap in our gun safety laws. They also, by the way, voted against extending criminal background checks to all gun sales, keeping people who have violent felony convictions, domestic abuse convictions, and are adjudicated mentally ill from purchasing guns. At the moment, it's only licensed firearms dealers who are compelled to conduct background checks. So about 40% of gun sales, none of these checks are actually done. And don't forget that Adam Gaddan, who is an al-Qaeda leader from the American-born from California, who was actually killed in a drone strike a couple of years ago, but there was a video that you can look at on YouTube, and he says very clearly, come gun shopping in America. It is so easy to buy high-powered ammunition magazines and guns here in America. What are you waiting for, would-be terrorists? Come gun shopping here. And that's the fact. It's too easy for these weapons of war to be obtained by civilians.
So Ms. Barrett, let me just ask you this. It appears that as long as President Obama is in office, he's not going to get any action at all from Congress on gun control. Am I right about that? So what do you do?
Well, I think that it's really incredible that you can't even get Congress. This is a measure that George W. Bush put forward when he was still president. He thought it was important to close the terror gap, preventing people on the terrorist watch list from having firearms. And so this Republican Congress, and they mainly are Republicans, are standing in the way of the health and safety of the American people. And they need to be called out on that. Even John McCain from Arizona, the only Republican who voted for not giving terrorist suspects the right to have a weapon is Mark Kirk of Illinois. And Heidi Heitkamp is the one Democrat who voted against it. And that, in our book, is shameful. I mean, because they're not doing their first duty, which is to protect Americans from a public health crisis. Do you know 120,000 Americans are shot every single year in this country? 34,000 of them die.
Ms. Barrett, hold on for a moment, because we want to go to Mr. Morgan, who is standing by on Skype for us at El Paso. Are you still there? Good. Thank you. We were having some difficulties with the signal before. If you could hear me, sir, here's our final question, and we'd like to get your reaction to this.
Sure.
Is there any circumstance under which you, as a gun owner, supporter of the Second Amendment, I assume you're a member of the NRA, would vote for some kind of reasonable gun control legislation?
Of course, anything that's reasonable should be considered when it comes to gun control. But if you take a look at the states that the United States, each state has a right to determine the laws and how they're going to actually carry out these laws. In the state of Texas, we have, in my opinion, we have very good gun laws that are in place right now. No, we're not immune to shootings or rapid shootings, but the bottom line is we do have safeguards in place as of right now that allow us to be able to identify individuals that should not have guns. We have to submit to a state background investigation, a federal background investigation. You have to be of a certain age. You cannot be, deemed as mentally incapable.
But
you
that
have to be
doesn't,
mentally sound and capable of making rational decisions.
but that doesn't work if you're going to a gun show, right?
Well, I'm not familiar. I can't answer for all gun shows, but you do still have to show some form of ID, and those guns are supposed to be checked. Okay. So
obviously, a debate that did not begin tonight and won't be ended tonight. Samuel Morgan, a supporter of gun rights in El Paso, Texas. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And Leah Barrett, the executive director of New Yorkers Against Gun Violence. Thank you for your insight on Al Jazeera America. Our special coverage of the presidential address to the nation when we come